Good morning, Giants. Welcome to Wake Up with Giants TV. Have you ever wondered how to go from amputee to advocate? Well, you just lose a finger or a limb, and boom, program the bird into your magical finger. We've got an amazing show for you. Sit back and relax, Giants. Boom. Giants, welcome to Wake Up with Giants TV. Don't go purposefully losing limbs. Just want to throw that in there. That could be a dicey intro. People are like, "What the crap are you talking about?" And Jeff, I'm glad you laughed at that. You got to laugh at it now. You know, like it's happened. But we had a great talk before the show. I'm excited for this guest. If you haven't been to GiantsandSmalls.com to take the Giants quiz, go do that now. No, not now. Not right now.
Wait a minute.
In an hour.
Write that down. In an hour. Yeah. Don't leave yet.
Please don't leave me.
All six of us. Yeah, don't leave. No. We've got an amazing show. I'm Ryan Morris, co-creator of Wake Up with Giants TV, a tribe of giants and 12 journeys coaching, and I'm here with Nicholas T. Smith, the author of The Giants and the Smalls, the reason why we get up on Sunday mornings and have a blast. There was a lot.
Look at what you did to me.
You're Taylor Swift. I'm the problem. It's me. Nick started the problem, created a tribe of giants, and Wake Up with Giants TV and 12 Journeys Coaching, and so much more. We're excited to be here this morning to share this with you. Nick, will you introduce our guest this morning?
I'd love to. Yeah, today we're joined by Jeff Soelberg, an inspiring figure in the amputee community. So Jeff's life took a dramatic turn on July 6, 2016 due to a severe industrial accident leading to the loss of 3 fingers and significant injuries. His journey through recovery, involving 9 surgeries, is a testament to resilience. So Jeff didn't just adapt to his new circumstances, he excelled, setting a world record in indoor rowing, competing in Adaptive Crossfit, and participating in Para Spartan races. His mantra, "Life happens when we adapt," reflects his approach to overcoming challenges. As the founder of the Jeff Giving a Hand Foundation, Jeff advocates for amputees, emphasizing the need for accessible prosthetics. His story is not just about personal triumph, but also about empowering others to face their challenges head on. So let's dive into Jeff's remarkable journey and learn how he navigates life's challenges, inspiring others to live fully and adapt bravely. Welcome to the show, Jeff.
Thank you, guys. I'm very humbled to be on your show. You guys do so much good and have good participants.
Yeah.
I mean, had Santa on last week, and I hope I can just live up to that.
Yeah. No pressure. Hey, I know he has a really great sense of humor, because I don't know that I've ever been flipped off at the beginning of a show, maybe the end of a show. Jeff could only have 4 things programmed into his grip, and he might show you his grip here in a sec. Who knows? Maybe he'll show us, but he could only have 4 things programmed, like to move his fingers, and one of them was the bird. So Nick told him to show me his grip this morning. There you go.
Yeah, it popped up.
That's on my upper hand. Yeah. That I can only have 4. This hand is my reactive hand that I can do anything.
Sometimes I don't know what's going on over there.
I can't be held accountable for anything that these hands do because they have a mind of their own.
You were telling me earlier that you're more blessed than me. Why was that?
You guys and majority of individuals in the world have 2 hands and 10 fingers. I'm up to 7 hands and 18 fingers.
So you're one-upping everybody by quite a bit, right?
Seven upping.
Yeah. Well, you've got just a great energy, and there are some stories today that I think are going to inspire people who are maybe feeling stuck in their lives, feeling frustrated with what is, not sure how to adapt. I remember Charles Darwin said it's not the most intelligent or the strongest that survive, it's the most adaptable to change. And I think this will be a testament to that today. Can we dive back into the experience? Can we go back to what happened and how this came about?
Yes. So I work for a refinery here in Salt Lake, and July 6th, 2016, I was at work, and my glove got caught in the lathe, and it pulled my hand into the lathe up to the wrist, at which time, if you took shop class in the time frame that I did, they'd show you videos of what could happen. And that was the picture in my head for a split second, an inch at a time, my arm going into the machine, at which time I pulled back and I was missing parts of 3 fingers, had a nice fountain coming out of my end of my hand, and I ended up at the U of U hospital.
Holy cow, man. I can only imagine, right? That's probably the proper way to say it. I have no experience of that. Just watching that happen, probably in slow motion, and nothing you can do, right?
And that's just it. Everyone that's gone through one of these real traumatic accidents and stuff talk about how everything's going a million miles an hour, but in slow motion at the same time. And I can remember sitting there looking at my hand and knowing my fingers were missing, but at the same time, I had no clue where they were. And I'm on the ski patrol, or was at the time, and so I deal with accidents and stuff, and we have an on-site medical staff there, clinic, and I turned to one of the individuals I work with, and I asked him to walk with me. I didn't know if I was going to walk into the clinic, but I knew each step was a step closer to help or safety.
Yeah.
And I did walk in, at which time the nurse started freaking out, hauls me over the sink and trying to wash everything. And I look at her and go, there's nothing you're going to do here. Get every bit of gauze you got in this room and start packing and wrapping, because we got to stop this blood flow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Man, so when life hits like that and you're in the moment, are you making plans for the future at that point? Are you like, oh, I'm going to dream and vision my best life from here? Or are you just surviving the moment? Like, does that make sense?
It does. And 100% at that moment, I was just surviving the moment.
Yeah.
And then I get up to the U of U hospital, and there's advantages and disadvantages going to the trauma one. I went through the doors about 3:30 in the afternoon, and I went into surgery at 11:30 that night. All the heart attacks and such, I was stable. They went ahead of me. But then the next day, and my ex-wife took a picture of me laying. It's probably the first picture of me After the accident, I was laying in the hospital bed. And at that point in time, I was 6 months into my second marriage. And the husband, the father, the breadwinner, missing 60% of my hand, wondering what life was going to be like.
Mm.
And that, no one came to visit me. You know, the doctors and nurses, they give you hope and try to inspire you, but they all have 10 fingers too. And no amputees came to visit me. I did have one friend come that's paralyzed and visit me in the hospital. And so I started YouTubing and going out on the internet, trying to figure out what life was going to be like.
Holy cow.
And, you know, that's because of that lack is why I do what I do now.
I'd imagine, you know, as we look at this, you know, somebody goes through something really challenging in their life. So similar to what you're going through here. And this is an intense example of it. But life immediately changes, and it's not going the way that you thought it was. It's something that happens that wasn't even on the radar, right? It's not like you plan this out and you're like, oh man, I hope I lose my fingers one day.
I lathe my fingers off today.
Right. And then you're in this situation where you're trying to survive it, but not only trying to survive the situation, but what's life going to be like from here? And when you're isolated and alone in that experience, and you're the only one that can walk through it, really, you're not really alone, but you feel alone. You feel like you're the only one. Why is this happening to me? Why do they get to keep their fingers? Why do I lose mine? Kind of a thing. What kind of, walk us through, because you talked about the YouTube videos, but walk us through that process of elevating yourself from that despair, maybe, to a space of, okay, I got to do something.
Okay, well, so time frame wise, I was off work for 8 months. I had 7 surgeries over that 8 months. And so for a lot of that time period, I was just in pure survival mode. But also the fear of life and what my struggles were going to be. I had to get out. I was in the gym about 4 weeks after my accident, just trying to figure out what I could and could not still do. And so it's, you know, a lot of ups and downs, emotion wise.
You took whatever action you could take, but emotionally, I'd imagine you're just drained, you know, by this experience. And I think people, you know, we want to hear the hero's story for sure, but I think it's vital to go back through and really look at the struggle and how you navigated from that struggle to where you are today. You mentioned earlier about a lady that came into the gym, right? And you had it in the sling. Can you share that again?
Yes. So, like I said, I was in the gym about 4 weeks after the accident. You can only sit home watching so much boob tube and stuff. And, you know, I live with pain 24/7 and stuff. And it has come, I've learned that we got to distract ourselves. I don't care how strong a person is mentally, physically, or how many drugs they're doing. If you're sitting around, your mind's on migrate to that pain.
Yeah.
And so I was at the gym, and I'd been going for a short period of time, and my arm was always bandaged up, is in the sling. I was more or less doing leg exercises, the assault bike and stuff like that. And one day she comes up to me and we're talking, and she goes, "Do you mind showing me?" And I said, "Sure." And I kind of made the off-cuff sarcastic comment that I hope it doesn't gross her out, because it grossed me out, and I had started building this wall or curtain trying to protect everyone else's view of what I thought was gross. And I unwrap it, and she takes and she looks at it very intently for a period of time. And then she looks me in the eyes and she goes, "It's not as bad as I thought it'd be." And at that moment in time, it just ripped down that curtain, knocked over the wall, whatever it was I was trying to build, and let me, okay, I can show this. And I didn't show you guys earlier, but I got some gnarly scars. You got to watch out for surgeons, because this is all surgeon made. To prevent carpal syndrome, compression syndrome, they split my arm open that first night to get as much blood flow, because of the swelling and everything, to my residual digits. And they grafted skin over a couple of the partial fingers at the time.
Yeah.
And then 5 days later, they went in and tried to sew it up, and it was still so swollen that they had to graft skin.
Holy cow.
And couldn't stitch it shut. So I got some nice grafts, and joke that you got to watch out for those surgeons. They're scary people. They leave their mark on you.
Yeah. Like a tattoo, but more permanent. So I want to hang here for a bit, and then we'll get into other philosophies, about living that stronger life, but helping people navigate this part, because in some form people have, an amputation or, an accident like what you're talking about, or they have a major life event that changes them. Our focus with the 12 journeys, we do help people. We help leaders who are kind of lonely at the top, right? They have something happen in their business or at home and they don't know how to manage it. And that's where we step in. And things like this are so important, because when you're in the moment and you're going through the experience of the impact of whatever the event is, and it doesn't matter what it is, it's important to know how to survive it, because a lot of people give up. They numb out. They don't re-engage. They find it to be too overwhelming, and so they succumb to it. And it feels like hell on earth, so to speak. Is that accurate? And how else do we navigate this? How do we help them to see, look, this is survivable?
100%. Again, I count my blessings and stuff that I was 6 months into a new marriage, because if I hadn't have been married at the time of my accident, I wouldn't be in the place I am today. The company she worked for allowed her to take 6 weeks off.
Wow.
To be with me, to help me through that early stage. I was going up to the U of U 3 times a week for bandage changes and PT and everything. And, the meds, just everything it was 100% just survival for months at a time. Just because my body was going through such a process of trying to heal itself, because that's what our bodies are designed to do, to heal themselves.
Yes. So I want to speak to that. So the body is designed to heal itself. And you mentioned there's only so much TV you can watch in a day. And if you don't watch that TV, you focus on the pain, and you need those distractions. Mm-hmm. Can you create a distinction between distraction and numbing out?
Well, drugs numb us out.
Okay.
And so in my peer support and stuff. And I focus on, for the most part, the finger partial hands. Typically, most of the time, individuals have legs and stuff. And again, you can, if you're sitting on the couch or sitting around the house, you're migrating to that pain center. So the first thing I tell them, get up, go for a walk, get out, smell the roses. It's a distraction. Listen to the birds chirping, whatever. Yeah, I was in New York this week, and I don't think birds chirp there. It's car noises.
Sorry, New York. Birds don't chirp.
According to North Korea, we ate them all. It's a cold and bitter place where roofs are caving in. But but New York,
Yeah.
But you do something to get your mind moving, right? Like get stuff moving instead of just staying stagnant, sitting on the couch or laying in bed. Do something, and it doesn't have to be huge, right? It's just
no.
It could be
a
just the
little
birds
walk.
chirping. Unless you're in New York, you're going to have to find something else to do because the birds don't chirp there. Apparently.
Eat all the damn birds.
Well, they flew to Minneapolis because I was sitting in the airport yesterday coming home in Minneapolis, and there was a bird flying through the airport.
Just migrating, like your brain does.
Single bird of hope.
Yeah, it's sitting there, and it's like, it just went by me.
Yeah, it's okay. So distractions. When life gets hard, when life gets challenging, we need these distractions. The book Calming the Emotional Storm talks about it. Dialectical behavioral therapy. They talk about borderline personality disorder and how they use distractions to help manage the intense emotions. And anytime you're going through anything that's intense, you need some distractions. And the challenge becomes when those distractions become the numbing out agents. That's when it becomes problematic. But to watch TV, to play a video game, to go for a walk, to hang out with friends, to exercise. These are all distractions that help take your mind off of the pain for a minute, but they can also be a step into engaging with something more powerful. Are there certain tools? So you mentioned going for walks, getting outside, smelling the roses. What are some of your go-to tools that you leaned on to help you distract and keep engaged here, to stay present?
Well, okay. Also, I mentioned that no one came to see me in the hospital. And once I had healed up for the most part and stuff, I became a peer visitor through the Amputee Coalition of America. And so that's my way of giving back. I talk to individuals around the world that are going through what I went through. And I can give them hope. Again, the doctors and nurses try and inspire us and give us hope, but they have 10 fingers. And so I can relate. I can get down to their level. I have the pain. I've gone through the surgeries and everything. I know what it's like. I still feel my fingers. Mm. And
the ones that are missing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Huh. So before COVID, back when we used real money, you'd go to 7-Eleven and buy whatever and give them a $5 and they throw a few bills down there and some change. What do? You'd take and put your hand up to the counter and you'd swipe the change from the counter into your hand.
Yeah.
Right? Okay. You typically catch it with your fingers. My fingers are missing. You know how much
he walks in, he swipes, and it just like goes
thrown on the floor. And it's okay, I'll pick up this quarter, that dime, maybe a nickel, but the pennies, they're all yours.
Well, you don't think of like all of those little things that can change when something like that happens that your mind is used to doing, and now you don't have that ability anymore, but your mind still remembers, it still has all of that memory. And so, like, I wouldn't even know where to start. How many things you do with your fingers every day, like, and the grief of that too, of the little things not being able to do them anymore. I mean, there's
And,
the major things, looking down, I don't have the fingers, or I don't have that limb, or the use of that body part anymore. But and I didn't even think about all the just the little teeny tiny things, like change on a counter, swiping it, like little habits you do.
yeah. And so here is a term I've come up with, most used. Your thumb is your most used limb on your body, least recognized. We are so reactive, we just do and don't think about what we do. And society just numbers out there. Finger partial hands are approaching 95% of all upper limb amputations, of which less than 5% of those amputees get a prosthetic, because the way our system is set up, and people just don't realize, including the doctors and surgeons, everything you do with your fingers. One of those peer support calls I did was with a surgeon years ago that had been fighting an infection for about 9 months at the time. And he was contemplating amputation. And we talked a couple of times, and he broke down with me on the phone, because he goes, I make my living with my hands.
Right. Yeah. Wow.
And to lose this finger, there goes my livelihood. And, you know, in my counseling to him and stuff, yes, you know, everything's dark. When something happens, we get such tunnel vision, and we don't like change or look for change and stuff. And I'm trying to teach him, okay, what about becoming a teacher? You still have your mind, you know, you can still teach everything you know and stuff. Yeah. So trying to put it in a different frame of mind for him.
That elevating the view so that you can see it, we call that, you know, putting them on your shoulder and standing up, right? Like the giant's journey. You stand up and they're on your shoulder and they're able to see a little differently, right? But yeah. But the ability to see beyond your current situation either requires assistance from somebody else, like you putting them on your shoulder, or you're able to elevate your view enough that you can do that for yourself. But in most cases, we need a little help. We need a little nudge from somebody that just kind of puts us on their shoulder, kind of like Steve Hardison did for me back in 2009 when he sat with me in that parking lot and talked with me. You know, it's like when we can do that for others, it takes us out of our own stuff. But also when others do that for us, it takes us out of our own stuff. Right?
Oh, 100%. So 2 years ago, I was back in Ohio getting a new myoelectric hand. And again, we're reactive. For 53 years, I did things a certain way. And at this facility, they had an apartment setting set up, kitchen, bed, and stuff, and went through different activities. And so you go to the spice cabinet, you open the door, you reach up, you reach your hand around the spice bottle, you pull it out, and you sprinkle it on and put it back up. Well, the way my mile works and stuff, for me to reach up in the spice cabinet and stuff, I had to cock my arm up and just get in these weird positions. And I fought it and fought it. And the PT, OT that was working with me, she goes, hey, stop for a second. And she goes, what about just reaching in and picking it up from the top and bringing it down to a different position?
Huh.
And I was 5 years into my journey at that point in time. Fighting things, we get such tunnel vision. This is the way I've done it for X period of time. This is the way it has to be done. And that isn't true.
Let's hang here. There's some value. There's some nuggets right here. The frustrations of change, the adaptation to change. You've done it a certain way so many times that it's automated. You want to reach in like this, but you now have to change it to this. People hate change. We hate change. We don't like it. And I think part of it is because of the automations make change frustrating and difficult, and we have to relearn things, and that's a big process. And I don't think we realize how much of a process it is to change until we actually have to do it. And that's probably where the frustration comes in. But I did it this way forever, right? But I'm used to this way. Why can't I just do that? And you just flat out can't anymore, right?
And we get such tunnel vision. So one of my good friends through this journey, he's congenital, does not have a hand at all. He was born that way. And we sit down and we've had many discussions and stuff. And the congenital side of things, they never knew what it was like. So they just adapt to what works for them. Us that go through trauma, we sit and think in our head about the memories of how we did things, and we struggle so hard because we want to do it that way again. And one of the things I learned in New York at this doctor's conference this week, there's a procedure they do where they call it the starfish, and on a myoelectric hand, they are able to now give individuals the ability to work fingers independently.
Wow.
And again, not knowing what we don't know, the prosthetists and doctors and stuff.
Not to be confused with the prostitutes, right?
Yes, exactly.
A little different.
Those are also in here. But not
they don't get paid as well.
Not quite as fun.
But they, at first, were assuming that, for the most part, doing activities like this, unless you're playing the piano or a guitar or something like that, people don't do a lot, so they didn't think it was that big of a deal. But then everyone that they did the procedure with, they said, yeah, I want that. I want to be able to do that. I might only do it 3 times a year. But why should I not be able to do that when I want to do that?
That's amazing. Like, if you think about this in terms of just human being, the way we are is just the most simple thing that we take for granted, right? We don't acknowledge our fingers, but we would pay anything to just have that little thing. If it would solve just one problem 3 times a year, we would pay tens of thousands of dollars to have that one thing back in our life, right? And yet, to change our life in other ways, we're talking, dexterity here, but to change our lives in other ways, we're like, I could never invest in myself that way. How badly do we want it? Because when we want it badly, we'll exchange just about anything to create it, right? If our 100%, we'll go and get a cure for cancer. If it takes advocating and doing whatever, we'll go do that. but sometimes we don't do that for ourselves, and we always have something like that available to us, right?
Yeah, we do, but we don't.
Okay.
Like again on the prosthesis side of things, prosthetics. 95% of upper limb is finger partial hands, yet less than 5% get a prosthetic.
That's mind blowing.
Yeah.
Mind blowing.
And that's determined by doctors and insurance companies, unless you're willing to pay out of pocket, and it's not cheap. This is around $30,000.
Holy cow.
And
consider that that is $30,000 right there in your hand.
yes.
And it still doesn't quite solve what you would like it to solve, right?
And no, and it's a journey. I've been on this journey for 7.5 years now, and this prosthetic that I'm wearing right now, the fingers are 3D printed titanium, and then the frame or socket is 3D printed also. And I got it back in January, and before I got this one, I looked at my prosthetic as a tool to make my life better, because I don't care what it is, upper, lower, nothing can replace original equipment. And then when I got this one in January, as I've used it and stuff, my frame of reference has changed and has gone from just being a tool to this one is now an extension of my body. Before, I'd wear them for a period of time, and this 3D printed one fits like a tailored glove.
Wow.
I put it on at 4:30 in the morning after I get out of the shower, and I'll wear it till 10 p.m.
Oh, wow.
I bike, I kayak, I live life to the fullest.
Isn't that amazing that the body can assimilate? It's like driving a car. When I was driving a car initially, 16, it was a long time ago. It was really difficult and I wasn't very good at it, but now it's so unconscious. It just feels like an extension of me, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. That's amazing to me. The body can do that.
But it's still a struggle, because the one thing, I have no touch sensation, and people don't realize this a lot of times. So without the touch sensation, I have to rely on other senses. So sight is the main thing. So now let's go to the mental challenges. I'm looking at this damaged hand all day long for every task that I'm doing.
Constantly in front of you.
Yes.
And it won't change.
No. The fingers aren't growing back.
Yep.
And so part of my recommendations when I'm doing peer support is mental health and trauma psychology. And I, 7.5 years into this now, I meet with my counselor every other week, and I call them brain dumps, because I'm sitting there beating myself up. When are you going to learn to open the door with a hand that'll work? Yada, yada, yada. And I have a brain dump session, and it wipes all that away.
So that right there, that expression, right? We've talked about that. We had somebody on, Brooke Braylove, if you get a chance to watch her video on accelerated resolution therapy. She talks about the importance of being able to express and brain dump, but also to replace it with a change in energy. But there's something about that brain dump that we need, that expression. We need to get it out, right? And
100%. And we need to talk
yeah,
about our challenges and love everyone, accept everyone's challenges.
So
I haven't walked in either one of your shoes,
yeah.
so I don't know what your challenges are.
Size 11 wide. You're welcome to come try them on. Yeah, they're wide. But the people that say, just be stoic about it, just stuff your emotions, just get over it. You don't need to, don't be a crybaby, like deal with it. What would you say about that to somebody that's maybe heard that?
And that's a statement I hear every day. It's just a finger. It's no big deal. And
yeah, like
go to the numbers. Your thumb is 40% of your hand. Then you go to your index finger. That's 20%. Middle finger is 20.
Go to the ring finger next. But.
That is the ring finger. The middle finger is 20%. The ring is 10. Your pinky is 10 on the impairment side. And your thumb index is your number one grip. You use it the most. So I love my steaks. I'm a meat and potato guy. But without this prosthetic, I'm caveman-ing my steak. It's stick the fork in and not, because it's next to impossible for me to cut a steak up.
It's your dominant hand too.
Yes.
Right.
And it is. And so, but I put the prosthetic on, and if you go to my social media stuff, I have a video out there where it shows me the struggle of trying, and then I put my prosthetic on and I throw the fork in my right hand, and I can cut my steak up just like every other individual with 10
That's
fingers.
incredible. It's incredible. It's an adaptation. I mean, the power of adapting to your situation, whatever it is, and suffering, going into the suffering is what I feel like the suffering is the gap between what we used to have and what is, and not being okay with it, right? Like there's a loss, a grief, a pain, and we're not reconciling that. So we create what's called suffering. It's optional. And it's all about our view, because the world out here isn't changing, but our view of it is, right?
Our view, our perspective is 100% of everything. You can or you can't are 100% true statements. Your viewpoint as to which one you're saying, doing, living is what you get.
So you're living in hell or paradise based on your view of the world.
100%. But and it goes back to the statement, how we react to the outside environment determines where we are also.
Right.
And it's a lot of times us finger partial hands and stuff, everyone looks at it as such a minor thing. Even the AMA, you go to their website and they list it as a minor amputation, and silicone digits are the only prosthesis they list on the website. That's how far behind the medical field
Holy cow.
is.
Well, Jeff, let's talk about, so we're going to go into our growth journeys here. So everything we've talked about so far is what we call the root journeys. It's the non-consciousness, awareness, grief, acceptance, gratitude, and empowerment, keeping yourself elevated enough to be able to create something. But now we go into what we call the growth journeys. And these next 5 journeys are all about stepping into the unknown, creating with what's around you. So taking what is and transforming it, having vision beyond what is into something better, surrendering the pathway, and then taking care of yourself and nurture. You're growing in new ways. And so as you look at what you've created here, how much of this, where you're at right now, came from visioning? How much of it came from just surrendering and going with the flow? Like, how did you navigate getting to where you are today from that challenge?
A lot of ups and downs. One step forward, three steps back, pushing through pain, talking to individuals. And again, doing the peer support feeds me as much as it feeds the other individual. Being the teachers. You and I talked about this earlier, Nick. The teacher learns so much in teaching the students. And just as I'm doing peer support, I am down on their level. I feel their pain. It's a different journey, you know, different finger, whatever it might be, but we're parallel.
Yeah.
And so we can relate. So many times I will get texts from individuals that are struggling. You know, my husband, my wife don't understand. And early on, so my wife at the time, one day she was cleaning the house and she just exploded on me. She goes, I just don't understand how you can go to the gym, you can do all these amazing things, but to vacuum the carpet, I can't get you to do it. And it is so crazy, weird, in the sense, along this journey, position of your hand changes what you can and can't do. Like I can deadlift. I got a picture of me deadlift and unassisted, just my thumb and pinky on the one side, no adaptation tool whatsoever, 225 pounds. Yet I cannot hang from a pull-up bar and I'm under 225 by just that pinky and thumb.
Wow.
Nothing's changed other than positioning. And it was so funny that same day I took and taped up her 3 fingers. And I told her, okay,
Did you
let's see what you
like
can do.
the rodeo where they capture the little calf and throw it down and throw the ropes around the legs? You're like, we're going to tie up your fingers and see how this goes.
And that's just it. And
Yeah.
she went like 5 minutes. She ripped it off. She looked at me and she goes, I'll never know what you're feeling, but I can't do this.
Mm-mm.
And there are so many times in my daily activities and stuff, people try to give empathy and say, yeah, you know, but you need to push through. Yet I will try and do that scenario with them, and they don't even want to step over the line whatsoever. And I was at work and we had this, I was pushing back on them on some safety issues because my accident was a safety issue. We're taught not to wear gloves, yet that was part of my PPE at work. And so they had a group that was evaluating me, and I tried to do that scenario with them. And there were 4 individuals in this group, and they just kind of blew it off. They go, no, we're here to evaluate, not play games or do scenarios. And then 5 minutes later, they walk me over to a ladder and they go, let's see you climb that ladder. And I go, hold on a second. Do you want me to climb the ladder or do you want me to do it safely? And I go, by OSHA code, I can't do it safely because you got to have 3 points of contact on that ladder at any one time. And you got to take my hand out of the equation. And one of those individuals walks up to the ladder, and this is a vertical ladder going up the side of a building. And he reaches up and tries to simulate my thumb and pinky only. And I just look at him and I go, 5 minutes ago, you wouldn't do that. Yet now you're trying to do it. You know, people don't want, they want to try and empathize with us, but no one wants to walk in anyone else's shoes.
Yeah. Yeah, that's you know, the empathy side of it, the compassion side of it, the trying to understand side of it. I mean, these are all elements where we need help. You know, I think of, you know, companies with teams where they have to do that, like what you were just describing. CEOs, leaders of companies who are struggling to empathize with people in their organization, and they don't, you know, because they understand their world the way they see it. People who are, you know, just barely beginning their journeys, and you know, they can't really see the world the way others see it yet, you know, and they don't see their full potential yet. So being able to empathize in all directions, I think we have an understanding of what it means, but not the experience of what it means, right? Like what you're describing.
Yeah.
As a concept, right?
Yeah. And until you go full immersion into that, it's totally just an assumption. And, you know, medical has done so much for us, but then things are still an assumption. Go back to diet and stuff. You know, back when I was a kid, butter was bad. Margarine comes out, it's the good thing, and you know,
cigarettes in the hospital room, right?
Like, oh yeah, I've had doctors.
Yeah,
exactly.
It's for your health.
And you know, we just don't know what we don't know.
Yeah. Well, it gives grace to the idea of none of us do. Like, we can't know how hard it is for somebody or how challenging it feels in their own world because we haven't been in their world. We haven't been in their shoes. We don't know what that's like. The only thing we can do is to feign understanding or, you know, some empathy in our own way. And I think does that go a long way to have somebody say, look, I can have an understanding, but only so much as I can have an understanding. I can't fully know what it's like to be in your shoes, but I can imagine what it might be like to be in your shoes. Does that go a long way?
That does, as long as they don't try to steer me into what I can and can't do.
Yeah, explain that.
So especially leaders, bosses, I've accomplished so much, and I know where my limitations are, and I've pushed through. Let me give an example. So I ended up having shoulder surgery 2 years ago on what is my good side. And for a period of time, I was down to 2 fingers.
Oh, wow.
And it was very eye-opening to me, where really struggling when you only have 2 fingers that you can do everything with. And at that point in time, it really opened my eyes to how I need to not go so big and protect what I have left so that I'm not down to 2 fingers again.
Yeah.
And so that has led me to where, especially at work and stuff, I know what my limitations are, and I'm not going to put myself into that compromised situation again. So I will push back, and then I'll have an individual that is above me trying to push back and say, well, you can do it this way.
Or you're just being difficult, or yeah, right.
Exactly. And it's like, again, and this is why I brought that to the company and stuff. We need to have a timeout here
Yeah.
and have open dialogue. It's not me just trying to get out of doing a task.
Yeah. Do you have a presetting on your fingers for that?
Yeah.
Like when they say that?
Boss mode activated.
At work, it kind of falls under that subordination clause.
Well, we're close to wrapping up here, but we have one final journey that I want to hit on, and that's our 12th journey, which is the legacy, the meaning making, the why, the purpose. Why are you doing this? Why are you doing any of this?
If I can help one individual life be better, whatever it be, get a prosthetic, or I'll do whatever I can. I know what my struggles are each and every day. So, and I live with them. So I try to help other individuals navigate through their own struggles.
Mm-hmm. I like that. And the legacy that you're leaving in that, the gift that you're giving them, what would that be?
The sarcastic, I have my foundation. Jeff gave a hand, now I give a hand. It goes back to just helping any individual that I can, any way that I can. Yeah. My main focus is on the finger partial hand side, but I'm human, I make mistakes, and we never know what life is going to give us or what. And an interesting story, going to life and what it's going to give us and stuff. I learned about 5 months ago that I fathered a child 40 years ago. And I had no clue. Through DNA 23andMe matching. And we met. We had a phone conversation, then we met in person, and at that time, after meeting, it was 4 hours. There was no doubt that she was mine. Wow. And stuff. And it has, we have two choices. I could blindly walk away. I haven't been in your life at all, so why start now and stuff? But we are building, we both accepted the past is the past. We can't change anything there. But we are building on the future and stuff, of which this lady has given me 3 grandkids and 3 great grandkids. I was there at her house. She had me over for Thanksgiving dinner. And my 2 youngest great grandkids, they're pawpaws. My middle one, he'll be 3 in January, and he's just like, Pawpaw's coming. He's my little guy. And
wow, good for
I
you.
had to, he wanted me sitting next to him at the Thanksgiving table and stuff. And it has become the most amazing journey
Huh.
in a totally different realm, not around my hat,
Yeah.
but we are building the most amazing life together going forward.
You are turning manure into wildflowers. You are just like really like just taking difficult situations and challenges and just turning them into the most beautiful things. Like that's impressive, man. Thank you.
And that's just what we got to do.
Yeah.
Love everyone.
Yeah. I love it, Jeff. Is there a question you wish you would have been asked today that you didn't get asked?
Oh, today's been amazing. I think the big thing is we need to just accept everyone for who they are. And there are so many hidden things. People, we suck up and don't talk about things, but so many hidden conditions, fibromyalgia and stuff like that. So we need to accept individuals for who they are, not question their conditions, and just love everyone wholeheartedly.
That's beautiful. Yeah, thank you. Ryan, do you have some thoughts here? Final thoughts?
And during this whole time, I've been learning how to manage the cameras and make sure that I didn't screw that up along the way, at one point I did, which was fun. But
you did good, man.
Hey, thanks. I'm learning. See, I'm adapting to new situations, and and I hear your story, Jeff, and I'm sitting here thinking about, okay, how in what areas can I relate? Because I have all my digits still. I've been through situations where something major has happened, and so that's how I'm relating. And so for you at home that are watching, take what you can relate to, listen to how Jeff adapted, because the adaptability, a lot of it was physical, but a ton of it was up in here. And so you had to do both. You might have to do that as well as you navigate something that's difficult or hard. You lose a loved one, you go through a career change, whatever, divorce, something major, catastrophic that happens in your life. Listen to how Jeff adapted to his world. Was it easy? Heck no. Is there things you might not be able to do again? Potentially. But you just continue to adapt and adjust, keep stepping forward, learn those, go through those 12 journeys. And Jeff, you didn't know our 12 journeys before you came into here, but you followed those 12 journeys. It's interesting to watch every single one of our guests that come on. They follow these particular paths and journeys as they navigate through their journey. And I'm so grateful for you. Oh, yeah, go ahead.
That's what life is all about. Acceptance. Accept ourselves for our weaknesses and strengths, and accept everyone else for theirs too.
Yeah, beautiful. Well, you both have blessed us today with this message. It's like, Ryan, your acknowledgement of those that are watching, of where you're at. They really have. They've overcome a lot. I know the stories, and the stories of a lot of people that show up every Sunday here with us, and their lives haven't been the easiest. Their challenges are different, but they're no less impactful than what you've gone through, Jeff. And I think that's one thing we try and instill, in individuals and organizations too, because they're just extensions of the individuals. It's just a bigger individual is all an organization is. It's just a fractal of a human. And so if we can instill this here, we can instill it everywhere, is that we all go through these journeys. We all go through our challenges. We're holistic humans. We're not just one faceted. And the more we can recognize that, the complexity of our humanness, and acknowledge it and accept it, the more we can work with it to create some amazing things in this world. And everybody that's on here, has been through their own version of a challenge like yours, and they're stepping. That's the beauty of them, is maybe in some way we've been able to put them on our shoulders and stand up, right?
Yes, and we all need to voice more and be accepting of those voices and stuff. Don't hold it in, let it out.
I love it. I love it. Any other final words before we wrap up here, gentlemen?
I just want to say thank you to all the comments. I have a hand challenge, so I haven't responded to them.
Later, right? All right, Giants. Thanks again for making this another amazing show. Remember, you're exactly where you're supposed to be. You're right on time, and you're doing what you need to be doing. So just trust the process, like Jeff shared today. Adapt to whatever's going on in your life. Be willing to step into the change and transformation, because that's where the growth is going to happen. And just know you're not alone. If you haven't joined the Tribe of Giants on Facebook, that is our global community where you can really be around people who are committed to their growth. And if you're in an organization that wants to implement some of these 12 journeys in with your team, please reach out to us and we'll get you details on how you can do that. If you're a CEO that is lonely at the top, we'd love to teach you some principles that make you not only a giant in the boardroom, but a giant in all the areas of life that matter. And so again, thank you for being a part of this. Go make it a giant day, and we will see you in the next video.
Thank you, everyone.
Get a grip, Jeff.